At 65 years old, human skin typically loses 60% of its elasticity, and cellular energy drops off a cliff. But one guy managed to freeze his biological clock entirely, living in a 65-year-old body that functions, moves, and looks exactly like a 35-year-old. We're breaking down his exact hour-by-hour routine, from the moment he wakes up to the second he goes to sleep. By the end of this, you'll have the exact blueprint to slow down your own aging, and the best part is, you don't need a billionaire's biohacking budget to do it. But whatever you do, don't skip his bizarre evening habit, because it completely flips everything we've been told about skincare. Most people accept looking tired, gray, and worn out as just a normal part of getting older. We look in the mirror, see the bags under our eyes, feel the stiffness in our knees, and we just blame genetics. We tell ourselves that our parents aged this way, so we are destined to do the exact same thing. But the reality is that our daily modern habits, chronic stress, horrible sleep, and hidden sugars are actively accelerating our aging process. You aren't aging fast because of your DNA. You're aging fast because your daily routine is constantly telling your body to decay, break down, and give up. Here is how to tell it to rebuild instead. The very first thing you have to do happens the second you get out of bed. You need to get outside within 10 minutes of waking up and let natural sunlight hit your eyes and your skin. This is a non-negotiable daily habit. Our bodies run on an internal 24-hour clock called the circadian rhythm. When natural light enters your eyes in the morning, it hits your retina and sends a direct signal to your brain to completely halt the production of melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. At the exact same time, that light triggers a healthy spike in cortisol and serotonin. That spike wakes you up, gives you natural energy, and actually sets a timer for your body to repair your cells later that night. To do this right, you grab your first glass of water, step outside barefoot, and just stand in the grass or on the concrete. Being barefoot grounds you, which helps reduce early morning inflammation. You do not wear sunglasses, and you do not stare directly at the sun. You just need the ambient light of the morning sky to hit your face for about 15 minutes. Think about shift workers for a second. People who work night shifts and sleep during the day visibly age so much faster than the rest of the population. Their skin looks dull, their eyes are constantly puffy, and they suffer from metabolic issues. That happens because their circadian rhythm is completely shattered by a lack of morning light. Now, the most common mistake people make here is trying to do this by looking out a window while drinking their coffee. Modern window glass is designed to block the exact wavelengths of light your brain needs to wake up. You have to actually step outside and feel the air. Once your body is awake, the next step is controlling when you put food into it. You want to compress all of your eating into an 8-hour window to trigger a biological process called autophagy. When your body is constantly digesting food from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, it never has time to clean house. But when you stop eating for 16 hours, your body runs out of easy energy. It gets hungry, so it starts looking around for fuel. That is when autophagy kicks in. Autophagy literally translates to self-eating. Your body starts hunting down and eating its own dead, damaged, and mutated cells. It clears out the cellular junk that makes your skin look old and your organs function poorly. The easiest way to do this is to simply skip breakfast. You wake up, get your sunlight, drink your water, and you don't eat your first real meal until noon. Then, you make sure you finish your last meal by 8 o'clock at night. That gives you 16 straight hours of fasting. Scientists have studied this extensively in mice and primates. When they restrict the eating windows of these animals, their lifespans extend dramatically. Their fur stays thick, their energy stays high, and they avoid chronic diseases. The biggest mistake you can make with this is thinking you are fasting, but then waking up and pouring a bunch of sugary, calorie-dense creamer into your morning coffee. The second those calories hit your stomach, your digestion turns back on, autophagy completely shuts down, and the cellular cleanup process stops dead in its tracks. Keep your mornings to black coffee, plain tea, or water. Now, when it comes to exercise, you have to prioritize lifting heavy weights 3 to 4 times a week instead of running endless miles on the pavement. Muscle mass is the absolute currency of youth. As we get older, we naturally lose muscle in a process called sarcopenia. But muscle is practically a magic tissue. It acts as a massive glucose sink, meaning it sucks up the sugar in your blood and prevents you from developing insulin resistance and diabetes. On top of that, lifting heavy weights naturally boosts your declining levels of testosterone and human growth hormone, which are the main chemicals responsible for keeping you looking and feeling young. You do not need to do crazy acrobatic workouts. You just need to focus on basic compound movements that load your skeleton. Think about squats, deadlifts, push-ups, and rows. You want to send a signal to your bones and muscles that they need to stay dense and strong. Just compare the physical appearance of a 60-year-old marathon runner to a 60-year-old sprinter or powerlifter. The long-distance runner often has hunched posture, sagging skin, and a very gaunt, depleted look because chronic cardio actually eats away at muscle tissue over time. The lifter stands up straight, has dense tissue, and moves with power. The biggest trap people fall into is thinking that lifting heavy weights is going to make them look overly bulky. It will not. It will just make you look firm, dense, and incredibly youthful. If you're already rethinking your morning run, hit that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started, and the diet stuff coming up is going to blow your mind. But all the muscle in the world won't save your face if you're eating this one thing. You have to completely eliminate liquid calories and added sugars from your diet. We call this the anti-glycation diet. When you eat refined sugar, those sugar molecules enter your bloodstream and physically bind to the collagen and elastin fibers in your skin. Collagen and elastin are the proteins that make young skin bouncy, tight, and smooth. When sugar binds to them in a process called glycation, it turns those flexible fibers into stiff, brittle structures. This is exactly what causes deep, permanent wrinkles and sagging skin. In fact, clinical studies show that sugar glycation can accelerate visible skin aging by up to 35%. To fix this, you have to be brutal about your sugar intake. Swap out your sodas, your fruit juices, and your sweetened iced teas for plain sparkling water. You have to start reading the nutrition labels on everything you buy, because food companies hide sugar in pasta sauce, bread, yogurt, and salad dressings. Dermatologists actually have a name for this. They call it sugar face. They can look at a patient and immediately tell if they have a high sugar diet because their skin looks crosshatched, thin, and washed out. The most common mistake people make when trying to cut sugar is replacing it with artificial sweeteners. While those might not have calories, many of them still trick your brain into spiking your insulin levels, which keeps your body in a fat-storing, inflammatory state. Stick to real food and drop the sweet drinks entirely. Next up is dealing with the silent killer of youth, which is chronic stress. You need to dedicate 20 minutes a day to actively doing absolutely nothing to flush cortisol out of your system. Cortisol is your body's main stress hormone. In short bursts, like running away from a bear, cortisol is great. It keeps you alive. But modern life keeps our cortisol elevated all day long with emails, traffic, news, and constant notifications. When cortisol stays high chronically, it literally breaks down your muscle tissue, thins out your skin so it bruises easily, and signals your body to store deep, visceral belly fat around your organs. That is the hard, dangerous fat that ruins your health. You have to actively fight this. You can do a breathing exercise called box breathing, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold your breath again for 4 seconds. Or you can just take a daily walk outside without your phone, without a podcast, and without any distractions. Look at photos of United States presidents before they take office, and then look at them just 4 years later. The visible aging is shocking. Their hair goes completely gray, their faces sink in, and their skin wrinkles deeply. That is not normal aging. That is stress-induced cortisol aging. The mistake everyone makes here is thinking that relaxing means sitting on the couch and scrolling through TikTok for an hour. That does not lower your stress. It actually spikes your dopamine and keeps your nervous system completely wired. You have to disconnect entirely to flush the cortisol. Wait till you hear how he ends his showers. It sounds miserable, but the science is undeniable. You need to end every single morning shower with 2 full minutes of freezing cold water. This is called a thermal shock. When you expose your body to freezing water, it violently shocks your nervous system. Your blood vessels rapidly constrict, which tightens your pores and completely flushes out systemic inflammation from your joints and muscles. More importantly, it activates something called brown fat. Unlike regular white fat, which just sits around your waist storing calories, brown fat is highly active. It burns calories at a massive rate just to generate heat to keep you warm. This gives you an incredible surge of metabolic energy that lasts for hours. The way you do this is simple, but it takes mental toughness. You get in the shower and wash yourself normally in warm water. Enjoy the warm water. But before you step out, you reach up and turn the dial all the way to cold for the final 120 seconds. The first 10 seconds are going to take your breath away. The mistake people make is that they tense their shoulders up, hold their breath, and panic. You have to do the exact opposite. You have to drop your shoulders, embrace the cold, and take deep, slow breaths to tell your brain that you are safe. If you look at people who do regular cold plunges or swim in the ocean during the winter, they always have this incredibly vibrant, tight, glowing skin. That is the vascular flush from the cold water working its magic. Now we have to talk about the physical surface of your face. You need to keep your skincare routine brutally simple, and it comes down to 2 non-negotiable products: mineral sunscreen in the morning and tretinoin at night. That is it. You do not need a 12-step routine. Sunscreen is your shield. 90% of the visible signs of aging, the dark spots, the leathery texture, the deep lines, come directly from ultraviolet radiation from the sun. UV rays physically destroy your skin cells. Tretinoin, which is a prescription-strength retinoid, is your repair tool. It works by irritating the skin just enough to force your skin cells to turn over and regenerate at the exact same speed they did when you were a teenager. Every single morning, even if it is raining, even if it is cloudy, you put on an SPF 30 or higher mineral sunscreen. Then, right before bed, you take a tiny, pea-sized drop of tretinoin and rub it into your face. There is a very famous medical photograph of a man who drove a delivery truck for 28 years. Because the sun came through his left window every single day, the left side of his face looks like it belongs to an 80-year-old man, covered in deep grooves and sagging skin. The right side of his face, which was in the shade, looks 20 years younger. That is what the sun does to you. If you're going to steal his skincare routine tonight, drop a comment below and let me know. And hey, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next breakdown. The biggest mistake people make with skincare is walking into a department store and spending $200 on a fancy cream in a beautiful glass jar that smells like roses. Those creams do absolutely nothing but moisturize the dead skin on the surface. They do not change your cellular turnover. Stop wasting your money and go get a $15 tube of prescription retinoid from a doctor. To support that skin from the inside out, you need to build a high polyphenol defense system. This means eating a massive amount of dark, rich-colored plants every single day. Polyphenols are powerful micronutrients found in plants that act like rust-proofing for your human cells. Every day, your body produces free radicals just from breathing and digesting food. Free radicals are unstable molecules that bounce around inside your body, damaging your DNA and causing oxidative stress. Think of it like a car rusting out in the rain or an apple turning brown when you leave it on the counter. Polyphenols step in and neutralize those free radicals before they can do any damage. You get these by eating handfuls of dark berries, especially wild blueberries. You eat dark leafy greens, you pour high-quality extra virgin olive oil on your food, and you eat dark chocolate that is at least 85% cacao. If you look at the blue zones around the world, places like Sardinia, Italy, or Okinawa, Japan, these are communities where people regularly live past 100 years old with almost no chronic disease, no heart disease, and no dementia. Their diets are absolutely packed with these dark, polyphenol-rich foods. The mistake people make today is trying to shortcut this by buying an expensive green powder supplement. Those powders are highly processed, oxidized, and lack the fiber and true nutrient density of real whole foods. You cannot out-supplement a bad diet. You have to eat the actual plants. Looking young is great, but the real secret to acting 35 is what happens next. You have to spend 10 minutes a day taking every major joint in your body through its absolute full range of motion. We call this joint oiling. There is a saying in physical therapy that motion is lotion. Your cartilage, which is the cushion between your bones, does not have its own blood supply. It is avascular. The only way your cartilage gets nutrients is when you physically move the joint, which squeezes synovial fluid in and out of the tissue like a sponge soaking up water. If you do not move your joints fully, that tissue dries up, becomes brittle, and eventually tears. That is why so many older people have bad knees, bad hips, and bad shoulders. Every single morning, you need to do arm circles, deep bodyweight squats, spinal twists, and hip hinges. You just move your body in every direction it was designed to bend. Look at a 65-year-old who stretches and does mobility work. They walk with a bounce in their step, they get out of chairs without groaning, and they look fluid. A 65-year-old who doesn't move looks incredibly stiff, frail, and fragile. The most common mistake here is trying to do static stretching with cold muscles. You do not want to just reach down and touch your toes and hold it for a minute while you are freezing cold. That is how you pull a muscle. You want to do dynamic, moving stretches that actively pump blood into the area. Now we have to talk about the environment where all the actual anti-aging happens. You have to treat your bedroom like an absolute sanctuary for deep restorative sleep. We call this the 65-degree sleep cave. Remember how we talked about human growth hormone being the ultimate anti-aging chemical? Well, your body releases almost all of its daily human growth hormone during the deep, slow-wave phases of your sleep. If you sleep poorly, you miss that hormonal release and you literally age overnight. The data on this is terrifying. Missing just 2 hours of sleep drops your testosterone and your growth hormone levels to that of someone who is 10 years older than you. To get this right, you have to drop the temperature of your bedroom to exactly 65 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 18 degrees Celsius. Your core body temperature needs to drop by a few degrees to initiate and maintain deep sleep. You also need to make the room pitch black. Get blackout curtains, put tape over the little blue lights on your electronics, and stop looking at your glowing phone screen at least 1 hour before bed. You know exactly what it looks like when you get a terrible night of sleep. You wake up with dark circles under your eyes, your face looks hollow, and your skin looks gray. Now multiply that by 10 years of bad sleep habits, and you see why people age so fast. The biggest mistake people make with their sleep is having a nightcap. So many people think a glass of wine or a beer before bed helps them fall asleep. It does not. Alcohol is a sedative. It knocks you out, but it completely destroys your REM sleep and your deep sleep architecture. You might be unconscious, but your brain is not repairing your body. Cut the alcohol before bed if you want to actually recover. If you're tracking with me and ready to upgrade your sleep tonight, hit subscribe. Let's finish strong with the craziest tip of all. You have to have a cheat day for your mental youth. Do not be a stressed-out health robot. Once a week, you need to completely break your own rules. Go out with your friends, eat a slice of pizza, have a beer, stay up a little too late, and laugh until your stomach hurts. The reason this works is because social connection, laughter, and letting go of your strict routines lower your cortisol levels so drastically that it heavily outweighs the negative physical effects of the junk food. The United States Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, released data showing that chronic loneliness and social isolation are as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Being lonely literally destroys your immune system and ages your heart. You cannot lock yourself in a room, eat perfectly clean out of a plastic container, and expect to live a long, happy life. Community is a massive biological hack. Keep your mind young by actually enjoying your life. Hang out with people who make you smile, let your guard down, and remember that the whole point of staying healthy is so you can actually participate in the world. So here is your immediate action plan to start making this happen. You do not need to completely overhaul your life by tomorrow. Trying to do all of this at once is a recipe for failure. Step 1. Tomorrow morning, wake up, drink a tall glass of water, and just step outside barefoot for 10 minutes of sunlight. That is it. Step 2. Sometime this week, book a doctor's appointment or use a telehealth service online to get a basic tretinoin prescription for your skin. It is cheap, it is easy, and it works. Step 3. Push your first meal back by just 1 single hour tomorrow to start practicing time-restricted eating. Let your body get used to the feeling of an empty stomach. Getting older is guaranteed. But aging, looking and feeling old, is a choice. Pick just one habit from everything we talked about today. Start with the morning sunlight. Prove to yourself you can do it for 3 days in a row and watch how your body responds. You will have more energy, you will sleep better, and you will start to see the life